I'm for anybody who's for equality. I'm not for anybody who tells me to sit around and wait for mine. I'm not for anybody who tells me to turn the other cheek when a cracker is busting up my jaw. I'm not for anybody. I'm not for anybody who tells black people to be nonviolent while nobody is telling white people to be nonviolent. So I just say in my conclusion, I know I'm in the church and I probably shouldn't be talking like this, but Jesus himself, he was ready to turn the synagogue inside out and upside down when things weren't going right. In fact, in the book of Revelation, they got Jesus sitting on a sword sitting on a horse with a sword in his hand, getting ready to go into action. But they don't tell you and me about that Jesus. They only tell you and me about that peaceful Jesus. They never let you get down to the end of the book. They keep you up there where everything is, non-violent. No, go read the whole book. When you get in Revelation, you find that even Jesus' patience ran out. And when his patience ran out, he got the whole situation straightened out. So, I believe that there are some white people who might be sincere, but I think they should prove it. You can't prove it to me by singing with me. You can't prove it to me by being nonviolent. No. You can prove it by recognizing the law of justice. And the law of justice is, as you sow, so much you reap. And the law of justice is, he who kills by the sword shall be killed by the sword. This is justice. Now, if you are with us, all I say is, make the same kind of contribution with us in our struggle for freedom that all white people have always made when they were struggling for their own freedom. And your freedom was you were struggling for your freedom in the Revolutionary War. When your own President Henry said liberty or death, and George Washington got the cannon shot, and all the rest of them that you taught me to worship as my heroes, they were fighters, they were warriors. But now when the time comes for our freedom, you want to reach back in the bag and grab somebody who's nonviolent and peaceful and forgiving and long-suffering. I don't go for that. I say that a black man's freedom is as valuable as a white man's freedom. And I say that a black man has the right to do whatever is necessary to get his freedom that other human beings have done to get their freedom. Just a moment, when I say that you and I will never get our freedom, nonviolently and patiently and lovingly, we will never get it until we'll let the world know that as other human beings have laid down their lives for freedom and also taken life for freedom, that you and I are ready and willing and equipped and qualified to do the same thing. It's a good thing that Mrs. King came out here this afternoon where there are so few people. It's a shame. All of our people in Harlem should have heard her describe what they did to her down there. Because I think the people in Harlem are more capable of evening the score than people are anywhere else in this country. People in Harlem, yes they are. And they need to hear her story. They need to know more about firsthand what's happening down there, especially to our women. And then they need some lessons in tactics and strategy on how to get even. And I, for one, will make the first contribution to any fund that's raised for the purpose of evening the score. I, for one, will make the first contribution. Whenever someone commits murder, what do? You put a reward on it, dead or alive, for the murder. Learn how to do it. For we've had 3 people murdered. No reward has been put on the head of the murderer, and don't put it on just for reward. Dead or alive. Dead or alive. And let that plan know that we can do it tit for tat. Tit for tat. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If you all don't want to do it, we'll do it. others who can do that, and who will do that, and who are ready to do that. I say that if the government of the United States cannot bring to justice people who murder Negroes, or people who murder those who are at the forefront, fighting in behalf of Negroes, then it's time for you and me to retire quietly to our closet and devise means and methods of seeing that justice is executed against murderers where justice has not been forthcoming in the past. I say in my conclusion that if you and I, here in Harlem, who also form the habit oftentimes of fighting each other, who sneak around trying to wait for an opportunity to go after lies on each other, or sprinkle dust on each other's doorstep. If you and I were really and truly for the freedom of our people, all of the energy that we waste thinking of how to do harm for each other.
What is your real name?
Malcolm X.
Is that your legal name?
As far as I'm concerned, it's my legal name.
Would you mind telling me what your father's last name was?
My father didn't know his last name. My father got his last name from his grandfather, and his grandfather got it from his grandfather, who got it from the slave master. The real names of our people were destroyed during slavery.
We believe this is the time in history.
Don't blame a cracker in Georgia for your injustices. The government is responsible for the injustices. The government can bring these injustices to halt.
When you're in your own nation, in your own land, you're in a position to get justice. But when you're in another man's country, in another man's land, under another man's flag, and under another man's government, and under another man's court system, you have to look to that other man for justice, and you'll never get it.
We believe this is the time in history.
So I'm not standing here speaking to you as an American or a patriot or a flag saluter or a flag waver. No, not I. I'm speaking as a victim of this American system. I see America through the eyes of a victim. I don't see any American dream. I see an American nightmare.
This is not hate. This is love, right? This is love, right? If I didn't love you, I wouldn't tell you what I'm doing. I wouldn't stick my neck up.
segregated. As I say, this is a victory with no victory. It's a victory that you can talk about, but it's a victory you can't show. So if you represent the NAACP and you're telling me about this great victory you won for me, when I look at you, I have to conclude that either you have been duped yourself or else you are trying to dupe me.